Welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. I'm your host, Jurjevich. Joining me this evening is the one, the only Todd TC Corder on the other side of Atlanta. And of course, our fabulous producer, Wayne Ridenauer in wonderful Memphis, Tennessee. You can find us all at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and of course now on Apple and Spotify. And if you like the content, please give us a thumbs up. Ring the YouTube bell, give us those notifications, and we'll keep you posted on what we're doing here. Personal Twitter at JJGetYouOne, at RWY Jr. for Wayne, and at Corder Todd, that's CORDERTODD for TC Todd Corder. Wayne, how you doing tonight, man?
Well, I'm doing pretty good, but something happened this weekend that kind of rubbed me a little bit wrong. I had mentioned it to you, and it's some of the things, the antics. It's somewhat, I would say, disgusting stuff that went on between Alabama State and Jackson State. But hopefully, the administration of the universities will get together and work out some kind of apology or moving forward statement. I don't know, but I just think I expect more from colleges, and especially the college athletics when they're on TV now. I mean, the SWAC is on TV. I can't believe it.
Yeah, the incident you're referring to is the Deion Sanders, Alabama State. It all stemmed from Alabama State saying Deion Sanders wandered in their pregame private practice, and Deion says it stems from players of Alabama State, coaches yelling at coaches, and it's just all around sounds bad on all sides. I agree with you. TC, how you doing this evening?
Fantastic. What we've got 6 top 25 matchups in college football this week, and who would have thunk that this late in the season?
You're right about that. It's nice to see. It's good to have conference matchups like this. I'm doing well, but not better than Georgia Tech football, winners of 2 straight. It's the first time that's happened since the Paul Johnson and the triple option era. I guess you could say the triple Johnson era. But they got a bye week this week before hosting Virginia on Thursday night, national TV. What's on tap for today's show? College football playoff contenders and pretenders. The Braves lose game 1, tie it up in game 2. We'll talk about the NLDS and more postseason baseball, our NFL quick hits, and of course, the all but famous Pick 6. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off. I do want to shout out, no Dave Cohen today. Panthers did move to 2-4 with a 41-33 win over their rival Georgia Southern. So again, it is state, not Southern. Hashtag it. Let's kick this thing off. NFL quick hits. Monday night's 30-29 thriller ended week 5 of NFL play. Let's talk some major storylines from the first handful of weeks here. We got to talk about the roughing the passer calls. I want to hear your opinion on this, TC. The roughing the passer call, your opinion on how it should be called. Go.
Well, right now you might as well put a mattress under these quarterbacks and let them fall safely on it. I mean, seriously, this is really, really bad. I mean, guys are just getting tackled routinely in the so-called tackle box, and if they land too hard, or if they turn them around or twist them a little, it's automatically a pass interference penalty, and it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. It could be Tom Brady or it could be a non-star quarterback in the NFL. I've mentioned that Brady's only drawn two roughing the passer penalties this year against him, where you've had other quarterbacks have 4 or 5. So to me, they just need to go back to common sense. This is all common sense. This is not complicated here. Obviously, if they're hit in the head, you hit them up high towards the neck, the head area, or if they slide and then you hit them late, then obviously you're going to have to call those. But this stuff in the pocket where they just tackle them ordinary, it's just got to stop. It's lunacy. It's common sense, and it all stems from the Tua situation. It does. The officials now know they're being monitored real carefully, so they're going to err on the side of caution. Unfortunately, they've moved it to a point where it's become ridiculous.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go back and forth with you, and we'll throw it to Wayne. I want to hear his opinion too. I think they're going to have to figure out a common thread on how to call this. The consistency is what bothers me the most. The announcers in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Atlanta Falcons game, where this all stemmed from, and of course you mentioned from Tua the week prior, but the first roughing the passer call over the weekend that sparked flares was the one against Tom Brady. And that call could have changed the outcome of the game. Todd, you and I had talked about it off air. We agree we're never going to say a call impacts the game completely, except for maybe the Saints and the Rams in the NFC Championship a couple of years ago. That's a different story. But this is a quarterback who has the football in the pocket and gets called for Grady Jarrett gets called for roughing the passer, bringing Tom Brady to the ground. I agree with you. I think if it's way high towards the head or way low towards the knees, you're good. But if it's in that hitting zone or the target zone, you want to call it, you bring the player to the ground, you cannot call roughing the passer like that. Defensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs also called for a roughing the passer call in Monday Night Football. The Raiders-Chiefs 30-29 thriller. I really think that you just have to learn, hey, you got to go by looks. And I know some of them are going to look malicious, but that's football. And you got to keep going. You got to play the game. And if it's inside the pocket and the defensive lineman brings him down within the rules, you can't call roughing the passer. Wayne, what is your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to say, first of all, pocket schmocket. Let's just drop that entirely. I would say that my way of thinking of roughing the passer, the way it should be, is head and knees off limits. They should actually be off limits for any type of tackle. The second part is if the passer, the quarterback, has the ball in his hand and he gets tackled, not roughing the passer. If he does not have the ball in his hand and he gets tackled, that's roughing the passer. And that's it. That's all it should be.
Yeah, sometimes it is as simple as that. I'll make this final point. You know, someone on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, they had a blue check mark. They made a funny comment. You know, Chris Jones is probably the first defender to ever get called for roughing the passer when he had the football. And that was on Derek Carr in Monday Night Football. He strip sacked him, had the football, and they still called roughing the passer. Todd, your final thoughts on the roughing the passer calls over the weekend and your final opinion on that?
Well, what Wayne said, I mean, it can't be that. I mean, it just can't be. If the quarterback obviously doesn't have the ball in his hands and they hit him late, it's a late hit. So they're just going to call late hit / roughing the passer. But if the quarterback is hit towards the head and he's got the football and you hit him up from the neck up or from the shoulders up, they're going to call that every time, and they're going to protect. The NFL is going to protect its product, and its biggest money-making product on the field is the quarterback. They're also going to protect the quarterback below the knees. They're not going to allow anybody to get their legs twisted or turned around like a pretzel. They're going to call that. So anything else in the tackle box is fair game to me. And you mentioned the Monday night game. Honestly, I didn't watch it. It was unwatchable to me. When you start calling penalties like that for roughing the passer, I'm out.
Yeah, it's pretty atrocious all around. I mentioned it earlier. NFL referees, you have to get consistent on the call. Let's move to other storylines. We were talking about the Falcons-Bucks game. Let's talk about these Falcons real quick. They're 2-3 going into a home game against San Francisco this weekend. We'll pick that in the pick six. Look, the Falcons have been pleasant surprises around the NFL. They are able to run the football. They still struggle stopping people from scoring a lot. They're still averaging over around 24 points a game they're giving up. So they get a little better on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe they can make a little bit more pleasant surprises. TC, your thoughts on the Falcons' first handful of games here?
Well, it's a great improvement from a year ago, especially the offensive line. It's remarkable how much they've improved running the football. They've ran the ball for over 800 plus this season. Unfortunately, they're playing a team in San Francisco where this is one heck of a defense. They stop the run. Number two, they run the football really well, which is going to be a real test for the Falcons defense. And number three, they don't turn the ball over. And, to beat a team like San Francisco, you're going to have to get them to turn it over. And it's funny that nobody wanted Jimmy G at quarterback, but now he fits in with this offense and this team, and they run it efficiently. This is a tough matchup for Atlanta. Frisco's a 5.5-point favorite. We'll talk about that later. It's a tough matchup for Atlanta. Without Patterson, it becomes that much tougher. You're talking a guy who's 350 plus yards rushing on the year, and as a team you have about 8 and 20. So that's a big chunk of your offense out. And with Marcus Mariota, who has turned the ball over, and a defense that gets teams to turn the ball over, a la Matt Stafford, it's going to be a tough matchup for Atlanta.
You mentioned San Francisco's defense is stopping the run. They are one of the best in the NFL right now, only giving up a little over 71 yards a game. Pass yards just over 200 at 206. So, yeah, Atlanta's going to struggle to move the football, but if they can, which they've been able to do on other elite defenses like Los Angeles and Aaron Donald, who just came off a Super Bowl championship. So I think if the Falcons are able to get some first downs, extend drives, and keep Garoppolo off the field, and Kittle and Deebo Samuel, all those offensive weapons that Kyle Shanahan has, I think they got a good shot. Wayne, what say you about this Atlanta Falcons game? Don't give away your pick unless you want to.
Well, the only thing I'm going to say is a little bit of a wisecrack. Anytime I hear the name Garoppolo, I instantly think of a James Bond villain. That sounds like a James Bond villain name, Mr. Garoppolo.
All right, guys, let's go quickly around the NFL, some other quick storylines. I'll just start off with one. I think it's got to be mentioned. Davante Adams, wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders, was charged with misdemeanor assault Wednesday morning. He shoved a credentialed worker after a Monday Night Football loss to the Chiefs. The man was treated locally for a mild concussion and other symptoms. What do you guys think of this incident? It's pretty interesting. He was charged in Kansas City.
Yeah, well, my opinion on it is it should have never happened. If you've got no business pestering, bothering, touching anybody, and that goes both ways. The officials are not, the people that work at the stadium, fans, should not interact with the players in a physical way, and the players really shouldn't be interacting with the fans unless it's some sort of thing where they're welcome to do it at a post-game type of thing or a pre-game thing. But during the game or shortly after the game when emotions are high, I just think it should be an off-limits type of deal.
Yeah, what happened is the cameraman was running away, or to his spot, I should say. Davante Adams is running to the visitors' locker room at Arrowhead Stadium, and he said he apologized afterwards. He said he was at fault, and personally, should he have done it? No, but in the moment, guys running towards him, he's running off the field. Frustration, kind of lack of awareness by Davante Adams' part. Do I think it's a big of a deal as the gentleman is making it seem? No, but if he was injured, he does have the right to press charges. So you can't, either way, you can't really do anything about it. But my opinion on it is I wish the guy wouldn't have pressed charges, because you understand Davante Adams said he's sorry, and he probably didn't know who it was, especially with all these people coming onto the field recently. You never know who's who. So I don't neither agree or disagree with it. I'm just glad nobody was hurt severely, and hopefully Davante Adams will learn from this. TC, what's your thoughts on that situation?
This is pretty simple about issues like this. It's about power. Davante Adams, he shoved a powerless person on the field that night because, honestly, he just could. And, it's almost like being rough to like a waiter or a waitress when you don't have your meal on time, or you feel that they didn't get everything you wanted in the order. it really does say a lot about you as a person doing this. You did it right in front of national TV. There's just no doubt. Now, I also think it makes zero sense to get the law involved in this situation. All you got to do is have Adams apologize, donate to the guy's charity, and move on and end it. Do not get the law involved. The law has a lot more important things to do than something like this. This, to me, it doesn't make any sense at all to get the law involved unless the individual was seriously hurt, and then you have a whole nother situation altogether.
Now, guys, any final thoughts around the league and the NFL? Wayne, TC, that you want to get off your chest real quick?
No, I'm good.
Everybody's good. All right, let's move on to college football pretenders.
Thanks for asking me.
Well, he
college
did ask you.
football, we're about the halfway point through the season. Let's talk contenders, pretenders. TC, I'll throw it to you, man. Give me your contenders first, and maybe someone outside the top 10 that's may make their way up into the college football playoffs at the end of the season.
Well, I mean, obviously, we're what are we, 6 games into the season, so we're, approximately the halfway point. I mean, obviously, the brand names are there. Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Michigan, Tennessee. And then add USC and Oklahoma State. And these are your guys that are right there in it. Someone from this group will make 3 of the teams from this group will most likely make the playoff. Then I'll go to another tier. And that other tier is Penn State, UCLA, Oregon, even though they lost to Georgia early in the season, TCU, somewhere. That would be your next group. I'm not going to mention Syracuse. They're undefeated. I know mathematically if they were on the table they would be in, but I don't see it. But then again, this year has been the year of the unexpected. So those are my contenders. And I tell you what, when I look at it, the biggest surprise of all is UCLA with Chip Kelly. Who would have thought they would be 6-0 at this point in the season? They defeated Utah. They're still going to have to play USC and potentially Oregon. So, but if they got a shot. Look at Penn State. Penn State beats Michigan this weekend, and we're having a different conversation about Penn State and Michigan all together. My point is there are too many games to go this season. Look at Tennessee. The winner of Tennessee and Alabama is going to shape this greatly. And it's been a while since Tennessee beat Alabama. And if Tennessee can win, we're having a different conversation about Alabama, Tennessee, and then Georgia, who's going to play Tennessee. So there's a lot of games to be played left, and there's a lot of paths that are unknown, but those are the teams that have a shot.
Yeah, you mentioned the top contenders. I pretty much agree with you. I think your Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama is your tier 1 contenders. Clemson, Michigan, Tennessee are your tier 2. Throw USC, Oklahoma State in there. I'm right there with you. I am going to throw Syracuse in there because Syracuse does control their own destiny. If they're able to pull out a regular season undefeated, they will be in the ACC championship game, and it's that simple. And if you win that Power 5 conference, we all know you're going to get in. Their biggest test is coming up in 2 weeks. Really 2 consecutive huge tests. They host NC State this week, and they go to Death Valley Memorial Stadium, Clemson, South Carolina the next week, Notre Dame the next, at Pitt. So they got the meat of their schedule coming up. But if they hold ground, they will be there. That's my team outside of the top 10 that you can look for to maybe get into the college football playoff. Other than that, I see a lot of these teams coming back down to earth. I do see Oregon and USC, Utah still making a run. We'll see. Utah's got a big test this weekend against UCLA, I believe it is. Or excuse me,
Let's see.
USC. Excuse me. Yes, thank you. We picked that one last week, so they can right the ship in the Pac-12 and get back in the race right there. So lots can happen. I think we'll see where Tennessee stands this weekend, especially if Bryce Young plays. TC, you mentioned them all in the head there. Those are your contenders. Wayne, give me someone we may have not mentioned that you think might make their way back in, or your comments on a contender.
Well, we're just doing contenders right now, then, right?
Right now, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, my two contenders are going to be outside the limelight, I guess, the ones that are going unnoticed. They're both undefeated, and I think they're going to end up being contenders, and that's going to be Oklahoma State and Ole Miss.
I like it. Ole Miss can control their own destiny too. They are one of the few teams that has back-to-back wins in their history against Alabama. So they'll be. I think that game is actually not this weekend, but next weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check. No, it's in a couple weeks. It is in November. So 2 weeks is at LSU for Ole Miss, but they got the meat of their schedule coming up. Let's go over to the pretenders. Look, again, I can't consider Tennessee a tier 1 contender until after this weekend. They've lost 15 straight to Alabama. Until they get over that horse and Georgia's mountain in the SEC East, I can't consider them a contender, tier 1 level. So they may be a pretender in a couple weeks. We'll see. They got their two toughest remaining games, and I think Mississippi State is a pretender. I think they'll fall back down to earth here in the next couple of weeks as well, and we shall see. But those are my two pretenders right now, because I still think Oregon, TCU, these guys at 6-0, 5-0, and you're unbeaten, you still got a shot. TC, you're pretenders.
Well, Kentucky's still a basketball school. John Calipari's right about that one. They've lost twice. So, Texas, obviously, they've lost twice. They're out, but it would be different if their starting quarterback was in there. You figure Quinn Ewers was quarterback, and they'd be 6-0 right now, but they're not.
It could be.
You mentioned Utah. They have no chance of the title. They've lost 2 games. Mississippi State, look, they've lost 1. They've had their mulligan. They're going to have to run the table. Who knows? The SEC West is the best division in college football, and I'll say it, and I'll say it, and I'll say it again. Nobody is getting through there undefeated. Alabama right now is very fortunate they don't have 2 losses. Last week they did a great job of weathering the storm, whether, Young was going to play quarterback, and it looks like he's going to play this week. But that Tennessee game, that is the biggest game at the University of Tennessee in a long time. That place is going to be nuts. You're going to see the stadium shake. And the way Tennessee played against LSU last week, they looked really good. That's going to be a really good game between Tennessee and Alabama, and that is going to shake up the SEC.
Wayne, your pretenders real quick, and we'll move on to the Atlanta Braves and postseason baseball.
All right. Well, my pretenders are actually coming from 2 also undefeated teams who are in the middle of the pack, but I think they're fixing to drop quickly, and that's going to be Penn State and TCU.
I like it. I mentioned TCU. If you're undefeated at this point, you're still a contender. But like I said, the meat of these team schedules coming up will really separate. And it's almost like it's separation Saturday this week. We have the third Saturday in October. Go ahead, TC.
No, it's a good word. I wanted to compliment you saying it is separation Saturday. There's no doubt certain races are going to separate itself. And Wayne mentioned Penn State. I'm going to tell you right now, there was a fact in here about Penn State, Michigan. The last 2 teams, gosh, I saw it. The last time that Penn State and Michigan were like this, and they went to Michigan, it was, I want to say it was in 94, and Penn State went undefeated, and they beat Michigan and won the title. This is I'm not saying history is going to repeat itself, but Penn State has a good shot at beating Michigan this Saturday. As they say in Western PA, Jens can throw the football with that quarterback Clifford, and Jens can run the football with that new stud 5-star freshman running back they got. Michigan hasn't played a difficult schedule at all this year. They've had every game has been in the state, but two. They went to Iowa, and they have no offense. They went to Indiana, and they struggled there. This Michigan-Penn State game, I don't want to give it away for the pick six, but it's a top. It's a pick 'em game, and Jens or Yuns, whatever in the heck they say in Pennsylvania, it's usually Jens. Jens on the west, Yuns on the east. Yuns has a chance to beat Michigan this week.
Let's move on to the Atlanta Braves, who fell short in game 1, 7-6, but turned around, won game 2 Wednesday night, 3-0. Even the NLDS up. Let's talk Braves, Phillies, and the rest of the Major League Baseball's divisional round. Look, the Braves head to Philly for games 3 and 4 with the series even. Huge win Wednesday night for the Atlanta Braves. Zach Wheeler, Kyle Wright, the Major League Baseball league leader in wins, 3 more than any other player, did his part, outdueled the local Atlanta native Zach Wheeler, pitched 6 innings, 2 hits, really competitive pitches, more strikes than balls. I think he threw 53 strikes out of his 80-something pitches. Really dominant performance there. I think a key to the Braves' success last night is the ability to shut Kyle Schwarber down. The Cardinals did it too, for that matter, TC. But they have shut down the Phil's leadoff hitter and National League home run leader, 0 for 16 thus far in the postseason. Your thoughts on the Braves, and we'll go back and forth here for a little bit.
Look, Schwarber is either a hit or miss hitter. What, he had 40-something homers and 90-something RBIs, and by the way, he hit about 210. That's today's baseball. So 8 out of 10 times, he's going to grab some bench and sit down. That's just that simple. His on-base percentage is not really high either.
Not that high, no. No, it's not that high for a leadoff hitter.
In terms of Schwarber, if I can shift subjects, I can't say enough about Kyle Wright. This kid pitched in 2020, got a stardom, did well, pitched last year in the playoffs, out of the bullpen, if I'm not mistaken, did well.
And to piggyback off that point real quick, TC, he came in Game 4 of the World Series and gave you some great relief performance. So that's really where it turned around. And I'll throw it back.
No, hey, I'm glad you said it. Look, in 2020, he kind of came out of his shell. He had the opportunity against the Dodgers in the NLCS out in Texas, and you were there, and you got to see, that performance. But to go from where he is now, he said, I like this. I love what he said in the papers. I knew I wasn't very far away. There's a very fine line to where I'm at now and where I was. And based on my ability and the confidence that I have in myself, I knew this year I was going to take off with my curveball, which is his best pitch, by the way, and his fastball is really close behind it because, he can bring the gas. But this kid went from that to winning 21 games in this era of the relief pitcher. Are you kidding me? Give him the Cy Young. End of story. He is a difference maker, and if Atlanta didn't have him in Game 2, they would be down 2-0, and they would be in a heap of trouble. My hat's off to Kyle Wright. Wow. He is the man.
He is the man. Look, the Braves saved their season in the bottom of the 6th Wednesday night. Wheeler was dealing, allowing only 1 hit up until that point, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was just a 1-hitter up until then. Gets the first 2 outs of the inning very easy. Then the Braves got 5 straight on base. That was rare because the Braves only did that 5 times in the regular season of 162 games that they got 5 straight runners on base. Started with a scare. Ronald Acuna got dinged in the arm, lost a lot of feeling in that arm, was able to tough it out. He ran the bases. The inning extended with an Olsen hit that Rhys Hoskins possibly could have had, and a Travis d'Arnaud single up the middle that really got it open at 3-0. And while that was happening, Manager Brian Snicker said he was able to get in the bullpen area, the batting cage area, really warm up his arm, and he was able to get back out there, which was huge. But yeah, the Braves absolutely saved their season in the 6th inning on Wednesday night. I just can't say enough about Kyle Wright. The bottom of this lineup has done its job. The top last night, Dansby Swanson's not looking good, but he's getting the hits when you need them. So hats off to this team. They were able to tie it up. Look, Brian Snitker has not yet named his starter for Game 3. TC, I'll say right now, I hope it's Spencer Strider. I hope he's healthy enough because he has dominated the Phils this season, 4-0 and 3 starts and a relief appearance. It's a best of 3 from here. The Braves hold the home field.
It is a best of 3, and this to me is the game that Philadelphia has to win with Aaron Nola, their ace, going. They have got to win this game, and if they do, then the worst that can happen to them is you get a 5th game in Atlanta. This is a game where Philadelphia's got to win. We'll see if Strider pitches or not. Gosh, with that oblique injury, it's like a back injury. If you even slightly tweak it, you're done, and you're set back even more than you were at first. So Atlanta's got to be extremely careful. It'll be up to the doctors whether to let him go. The good sign was they did put him on the roster, so they do expect him to pitch during this series. The million-dollar question is when. We don't know, but Game 3 to me says it all. If Philadelphia loses with their gun Nola, they're done. They're done. They're not gonna win the series. They have got to get 3. And that in that environment in Philadelphia, it'll be dog nuts. They haven't had a playoff game there since 2011. It'll be like old Yankee Stadium electric. The Philly fans will be flying all over the place, and they'll be dog nuts. And the Braves guys in the bullpen better look out. They'll have security down there because them fans are gonna lose their mind.
Yeah, speaking of doctors and team doctors, unfortunately, other Braves news and notes real quick. Relief pitcher Tyler Matzik will undergo Tommy John surgery. Was feeling discomfort at the end of the regular season. And unfortunately, he will not be part of this postseason effort. He was a key member last year in that Braves World Series run, 13 postseason appearances, only allowing 3 runs. This year, a lot less effective, a lot less velocity. ERA over 4.76 to be exact. Game 3, Friday afternoon, 4:37 p.m. in good old Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia, PA, as the Yuns say, right? Yuns? What is it?
Yuns and Yuns. Yuns would be the west. Yuns would be the yes. Yuns would be on the east. Yes.
And Wayne, you had a thought on the Atlanta Braves NLDS series before we move around to Major League Baseball divisional series.
Well, I really thought that the Phillies were going to be a lot easier team than this, but they really stepped up for this series of games, and we'll see what happens. I was more anxious when they were playing St. Louis because I did not want Atlanta to have to play St. Louis, but it turns out that the Phillies are a pretty good team.
Oh, Bryce Harper's a stud, man. I mean, they held him in check a little bit yesterday, but, man, if this guy gets going in that bandbox in Philadelphia, because it is a bandbox, it is a small ballpark, the pitchers better keep the ball down because if not, it'll leave. Even in the cold air, it'll leave.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge matchup for Game 3. Again, you mentioned Aaron Nola. Braves have yet to name a starter. We will see what happens there. Let's go around Major League Baseball real quick. We'll highlight the series, and then we'll get into our pick 6. Other words in the NLDS, you have the Dodgers tied with the Padres. Dodgers won Game 1 5-3. Padres evened it up with a 5-3 win for themselves on Wednesday night. Game 3 is Friday prime time, 8:37 p.m. in Petco Park at San Diego. The ALDS, Yankees won 0 over the Guardians. Still can't get over saying that. Yankees won Game 1 4-1. Game 2 7:37 Eastern Time Thursday on TBS. And elsewhere, the Astros are 1-0 leaders over the Mariners. Houston wins Game 1 8-7 with a walk-off come from behind win. They were down 4-0 at one point. Game 2 is Thursday afternoon, 3:37 p.m. today on TBS. Wayne, TC, any final thoughts on the rest of the MLB postseason?
Well, if I can say, not only will Game 3 determine who Atlanta's going to pitch. I mean, Game 3 is undecided. It'll determine who they're going to pitch in Game 4 because the matchups are undecided in Game 4. So this Game 3, like I said earlier, tells the tale in terms of Cleveland and Atlanta. What a matchup! Bieber versus Cortez, and then in Seattle and Houston. Seattle blew Game 1. That, to me, is a devastating loss. They've got to come back from that. The Astros had a miracle in the ninth inning. They're throwing their guy Castillo versus Houston's guy Valdez. I like Seattle to tie up that series, and I actually like Cleveland to tie up the series against the Yanks in terms of the San Diego Dodgers series. This, to me, is another telltale Game 3. Goslin, who did really well to start the season, slowed down a little bit in the second half against Blake Snell. Which Blake Snell are you going to get for San Diego? The Padres finally got over that hump to beat the Dodgers. The Padres won, 89 wins this season? The Dodgers remarkably 111. This is what this new playoff format has done. It's given teams that have won way less games during the regular season a good shot to upset somebody, especially in a best of 3 or 5. I'm not a fan of them, but that's the way it is. I mean, holy cow. I mean, anything can happen. Any one of these teams, these 8 teams, could advance. I like Atlanta's chances the best if they win Game 3. If they don't, we're coming back to 5 games here in Atlanta.
It's a great final thought. I absolutely love the Mariners to win Game 2 as well, even it up. They're a sneaky good ball club. That wraps us up for Major League Baseball. Let's get into the only Pick 6. 6 games, 5 college, 1 pro this week, picked with Monday spreads. Last week, Wayne took the cake. Great week, probably your best week ever since we've done this.
Yeah.
5-0-1. TC had an above 500 week at 3-2-1, and I was 0-5-1, folks. I did not have a win last week. So the standings now have Wayne in first place at 19-15-2. TC's dead even at 17-17-2, and I'm coming in the rear at 16-18-2. Let's get to the pick 6. Again, 5 college, 1 pro. We'll start off in Ann Arbor, where number 10 Penn State, the Nittany Lions at 5-0, travel to the number 5 Michigan Wolverines at 6-0. Michigan 7-point favorites at home. Over/under in this one's 52. It's 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox. Wayne, TC, myself, let's go.
All right. Well, I'm going to go first on this, and I'm picking Michigan to cover because there's no way they're going to lose this game to Penn State. I can't see it happening at home in the big house, and this is a pivotal game. You said it's Separation Saturday, and this will definitely separate those 2 teams.
Well, Hans Gruber in the Miracle here from Die Hard, Hans here went 5-0-1 last week. That would be Wayne's. We'll call him Hans Gruber here because what did he say in the movie Die Hard? Cheers, Theo. Miracles do happen. Wayne had a miracle hit last week at 5-0-1. Congratulations to you, my friend. But no. No more miracles this week. I know Michigan and Penn State, the home team has done really well in the series. Last year, Michigan flipped the script to win at Penn State. But nope, Jens is going to cover this week. Jens, however the heck you want to say it. I've got Jens to cover, and Hans Gruber and his miracle over there sitting in Memphis is going to lose that pick.
Penn State's coming off a bye week. Penn State has done a wonderful job at stopping the run, holding opponents to under 80 yards rushing a game. But dive deeper into that. Purdue throws the ball a ton. Ohio does as well. Auburn's rushing attack has been less stellar than we thought it was going to be with Tank Bigsby. I think running back Blake Corum gets it going. He gets the offense going too, opening up the pass lanes for J.J. McCarthy, who has been throwing super accurately the last 2 weeks, around 76% completion rate there. The last 2 games, again, Michigan has a top 5 defense, coming in at 5th overall with just over 11 points per game average, and a top 15 offense. They're 13th with 43 points per game. Give me the Wolverines to cover at home. I like Blake Corum. So we're all in agreement here. Wayne, you said Michigan at home too, right?
Yeah, I said Michigan to cover.
Yes,
Just
I
wanted to-
picked Michigan along with you, and I went with Yuns.
I'm just making sure I got it right. And we're going to the third Saturday in October rivalry. Number 3 Alabama, 6-0, rolls into Neyland Stadium, Rocky Top, Tennessee, to take on number 6 Tennessee Volunteers at 5-0. Alabama's a 7.5-point favorite. That dadgum hook, I hate it. Over under in this one, 65 and a hook as well. This one's the 3:30 CBSer game. I'll start this one off. Look, again, the third Saturday in October. It's actually on the third Saturday in October this month, which is pretty cool. Look, Alabama's won 15 straight in this series. I think the pressure is on the Tennessee Volunteers. They feel it. Alabama's got 15 years of house money. Both teams are fast starters. Tennessee has outscored opponents 54-10 in the first quarter. Alabama's trumped that 83-6. So whichever team gets going first, I think wins. And Bryce Young has been practicing this week. I think that's the difference in the game. Also, Tennessee's had an off-field distraction with the safety possibly missing this weekend's game with a altercation over the weekend, last weekend. And look, Jahmyr Gibbs transferred from Georgia Tech's an absolute beast. Bama runs the ball well enough to keep UT's quick-scoring offense off the field. Bama averages over 250 a game. Look, I think Bama makes it 16 in a row by about a 9 or a 10-point win, and that is that. Wayne, TC, you guys go.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm going to go ahead and take the Tennessee Volunteers and the points on this one. The odds makers have made this a really close game by doing 7.5, because normally Alabama's favored by double digits. Not so much on this one. I see Tennessee taking this one at home, so I'm taking Tennessee in the points.
I'll give you the shocker. Tennessee's not going to need the points. Big Orange wins it outright. Alabama's been fortunate they haven't lost 2 games this year. If Tennessee breaks the streak, I'll take Tennessee in the points, and they'll straight up get it done, because you want to talk about a Heisman Trophy candidate, give me Hooker, that quarterback for Tennessee. I like Tennessee tuxedo.
Number 8, Oklahoma State, 5-0 at number 13, TCU. Also 5-0, TCU's 3.5-point favorites. Over-under in this one, 68.5. 3:30 p.m. on ABC. I'll start this one off again. Why not? Both these teams can throw the ball and score, as both teams are top 5 in offense, scoring over 45 points a game. So this should be a fun game to watch. But I like quarterback Spencer Strider. He's one of the best in the country. He's 8th in FBS and points responsible for right now. The difference, TCU's pass defense is suspect, giving up over 13 yards per pass play. Give me the mullet. Give me Spencer Strider. Oklahoma State in the points, baby.
JJ, is it me, or the name Spencer Strider has come up earlier in the show? Let me think about that. Yes, it has. And this Spencer Strider.
Did I say Spencer Strider? I meant Spencer Sanders. Braves game's on my mind.
You mentioned it, so I was going to. No, I know it's Spencer Sanders. I'm just screwing with you because I can. Yes, I like Oklahoma to throw the ball against that TCU defense. I don't need the points. I'm a man. I'm 40. Oklahoma State wins.
What say you, buddy?
Well, this is a game of pretenders and contenders, and I've already mentioned it in the first segment there, and I'm taking the Cowboys and the points, and I'm not even sure they're going to need the points, because this is the beginning of the TCU downslide.
I like it. We're all on the same page with the mullet and the Cowboys. Let's go to our fourth game of the weekend, college-wise. Number 15, NC State, 5-1. At number 18, Syracuse, 5-0. Still hard to believe that. Syracuse is a 3.5-point favorite. Over-under in this one is low at 44. 3:30 p.m. on the ACC network. It's been nearly 25 years since two ranked teams met in Central New York. Let's go TC, Wayne, myself.
Oh, you going to make me go first? Okay,
I am.
speaking of low, what's that movie with a loco discount? That's Demi Moore was in it, though. About last night. Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? Syracuse is going to be about last week because they're going to get beat this week at home. Give me NC State. And when I look at Syracuse's schedule, as you know, yes, they're 5-0. They are. And you know what? That's a good story. They did beat Purdue. They squeaked by against Virginia. They're not beating NC State. The schedule hasn't been strong. NC State has played a tougher schedule this year. I like NC State outright to win it in the Dome up in Syracuse. There you go.
Wayne?
The low discount score.
Well, I'm as well taking North Carolina State and the points on this one because, like TC said, Syracuse has not been tested yet, and North Carolina State is going to be playing to win, whereas Syracuse will be playing not to lose, and I think that's going to be their problem. And North Carolina State's going to win that.
Hey, JJ, that wasn't low. That was a Litco discount. My fault, buddy, on those movies. I'm quoting movies this week, man. You know, I'm doing my picks with movies. How about that? Great sports analogy. Movies and sports. A lot of deep research here, huh?
A lot of deep research. Look, I like NC State. No, just kidding. NC State's quarterback Devin Leary was banged up last week versus Florida State and is questionable. Backup quarterback on the road in a dome, loud environment where Syracuse hasn't been before. Fans are piling up. I'm going with Syracuse and Dino Babers, baby. Look, here's why I like Syracuse in their defense to hold NC State off. At home, the Orangemen have a top 10 defense holding opponents to 14 points a game. Give me the Orangemen. Our final college game of the day, number 7 USC 6-0 at number 20 Utah 4-2. Utah's home favorites at 3.5 points. Over under, and this one's pretty high, 65 points. 8 o'clock p.m. on Fox. I'll tee this one off for the last one. Kyle Whittingham won't drop 2 in a row, especially in Salt Lake City. Utah's offense will move the ball on Southern Cal. USC has given up over 350 yards per game on defense. Utah can run and pass. I think Cam Rising takes care of the football this time. Doesn't have a costly turnover like he did early in the UCLA game. I like Utah to cover at home.
JJ, you know what? Can I go back to the NC State game for 2 seconds? Chambers.
You didn't do your research. You didn't know the quarterback was hurt.
Yeah, I did. I did my movies and research.
I'm just teasing.
I know you are. I did my movies and research, but I'll tell you what, Jack Chambers, you don't have to look at his stat line. Even they only attempted one pass.
He's good. Charleston
Florida
Southern.
State fell incomplete. The grad transfer played a lot and threw the ball a ton at his 4-year career at Charleston, South Carolina. This kid finished 3rd in the FCS last season in completion percentage at 64, 30th in pass efficiency, and 13th in yards passing per game. Chambers threw a career high of 340-something yards and a win against Monmouth last year. This kid can play. I still like NC State to win, but I love your starting. You know, they're not without their starting quarterback. Let me go to the USC-Utah game real quick because we all got to go. Utah turns the ball over. USC's defense isn't the greatest, but they get you to turn the ball over. I like the Trojans. I don't need any points. Give me USC.
Wayne, what you got?
Well, Utah is ready to bounce back. I'm taking Utah to cover on this one because I think this is their bounce back game to get back on track.
I don't disagree with you, as I did the same thing. Again, I just think to me, it's Kyle Whittingham's a Hall of Fame type coach. Been one of the longest tenured coaches in the country. I think that is the difference in the game. Let's go to our lone NFL game. We talked about it earlier. The 49ers come across the country at 3-2 and play in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where the Falcons are 2-3. San Francisco's a -5.5 point favorite. Over under in that one's 43 and a hook. 1 p.m. on Fox. The Falcons are 5-0 against the spread this season. Why would I take anybody else? Falcons in the points.
Yeah, well, no surprise here. I'm taking the Falcons in the points, and I have never liked the San Francisco 49ers, so this is an easy one for me.
TC.
You can't base it off your heart. I know you've been 5-0 with the picks, and you homers have done really well. And yes, I'm 0 for 5 because I haven't picked the Falcons all season long. So what do you think I'm going to do here? Think real hard. You know what? When you look at the 49ers games, they're all really, really close. They just are. What's their record? 3-2. What, their point plus differentials 47. They're coming into Atlanta, who really plays real hard, a tough football team, way tougher than a year ago. I think the 49ers win, but I think the Falcons cover and lose a heartbreaker on a field goal. So it's a cover week for me, guys. Did you notice it? Everybody covers this week, and I go 6-0.
Well, you went
me next
points.
week.
So it's called going with the underdogs. You went with the point.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I cover the point. My analogy was I'm taking all the underdogs. They're going to prevent the team from covering. So I guess it's a non-cover week. I'm so sorry. I'll say that again. It's a non-cover next week.
Just say that it's an underdog week. You're taking all the underdogs.
Right, and guess what? Next week y'all are going to praise me like you praise Hans Gruber over here.
We will. Well, that wraps our show up, everybody. Final thoughts for the evening. I mentioned it earlier. It's Separation Saturday. 5 ranked versus ranked matchups in college football this weekend. Enjoy.
Yeah, well, my final thoughts are, while we were having this show, I got an email saying that my University of Memphis Tiger basketball season tickets are ready for download, and I'm looking forward to this season. They start the season at Vanderbilt, which is one of 5 SEC teams that the Memphis Tigers will be playing this year, and so it should be an exciting season.
And you know what my thought is? Memphis is a basketball school just like Kentucky is. Number 2, the college game is way better than the pro game. We stated earlier about the ridiculous roughing the passer penalties. I would rather watch college football every day of the week, and that includes twice on Sunday. Guys, have a great week. I've got a press conference with the Lane head football coach coming up. I'm going to broadcast Lane and Miles from Miles, Alabama, the SIAC game, one of the games of the week on ESPN Plus this Saturday, and everyone want to go ahead and catch the call. Dwayne Walker will have the play-by-play, and I'll do color commentary this week, and I'll talk to everybody next week.
Yep, for TC in East Atlanta, for myself, North Atlanta, myself over here in East Atlanta, and Wayne in Memphis, Tennessee. Get you one, folks. We'll see you next week.